Hey, what's up YouTube? This is Real Chief here, bringing you another video today. So in this episode, I'm going to be showing you how to make some simple trees using some everyday craft material. So what you're going to need are some craft wire, a weed of wool, any color will do, as long as it's green. You're also going to need to use a power drill, and you're also going to need a plastic bonder, tube of epoxy, of 5-minute epoxy. So anyway, without further ado, let's get started. Now the first thing you want to do here is place the wire inside your power drill like this and tighten the knob around your drill. And then when that's all done, you can press the button on your power drill and you can start tightening the wires together like this. And you want to make sure you hold the wire with a set of pliers because you don't want to hurt your hand while working with the wire as the drill is spinning around. And then when that's all done, you can take the wire out like this. I also tied a knot in the wire here, as you can see on the screen here, and so I just placed that back into my drill and I tightened the knob and I decided to work the wire again. And when that's all done, you got these little extra pieces of wire sticking out, so we're just going to bend them like this. So as you can see, our tree is starting to take shape, but we have a lot more to do before this tree is ready to go. So I'm just going to take this little piece of wire here that I had laying around here and tighten that to the tree stump. You can also tie some pieces of small wire onto the tree stump here, but for now I'm just going to work with the big wire and try to shape it and fasten it as best I can. So this is what I got so far, and now I'm going to move on to some of the small pieces of wire that I have here. And it doesn't really matter which color you use. I just had some green wire I had laying around that I got at Michael's, so this will do pretty good now. So I'm just going to take my pliers here and cut a little strip off, and I'm going to be using that for my smaller tree branches that I'm going to be using for the tree here. Okay, so what I'm going to do here now is take my small piece of wire and wrap it around the tree trunk like this. And now you got a smaller tree branch here. And now I'm going to take my pliers and cut another strip off off here. And now I'm going to take this wire and wrap it around the other wire that I just attached to the tree here. So again, just wrap it around your tree trunk like this. And now you're just going to take both these wires together and twist them. And make sure you take your time while doing this, because if you try to rush, then you're going to wind up making mistakes. But like a wise man once said, we don't make mistakes. We just have happy little accidents. Okay, so here's what I got so far, and so the next thing that I'm going to do now is take my pair of pliers and start to cut a couple of pieces of the wire off the tree branch here, so that way everything looks a little bit nicer. And it's almost like trimming a real tree, because you don't want the branches to be too long, because you don't want your tree or your bush to look like an eyesore. So there we go. I'm going to take my pliers again, trim a little bit off here. Alright, here's what I have so far, and our tree is starting to shape up. Once again, it's starting to shape up pretty nicely. Got some more branches on here. And so now, what I'm going to do here is take my plastic bonder epoxy, take off the knob here, and squeeze out a little bit of the epoxy. And once I squeeze it out, the next thing I need to do here is take my popsicle stick and start mixing that all together. so that we get a nice big pile of glob here, nice big pile of epoxy, so that when we use the epoxy on the tree branch, everything sticks together really nicely. And the best thing about this stuff here is it shouldn't take you more than less than 5 minutes to do. Alright, so now that everything is mixed together, I'm just going to take a big glob here of epoxy and start applying it to the tree stump here. And you don't really need more than just one layer of epoxy. So I'm just going to take a cotton swab here and start laying out more epoxy, so that way we get a nice strong bond between the wires here. And we get like a very strong tree trunk. Okay, so I'm going to add some more epoxy here. And make sure to leave a little bit of space on the bottom here where this excess wire is sticking out, because later on when the whole tree is dried up, we're going to come back and take some pliers and cut that little strip off. So this is what I got so far. So now I'm just going to let this whole thing dry and I'll come back to it later. Alright, so here we are at my workbench. So the next thing we got to do is paint it. I like to use some dark Van Dyke brown for the tree trunk here, because I think this is going to look really nice once it's painted. And so now I'm just going to take my paintbrush, dip it in some paint, and start brushing away. I thank you all for your patience. It's just very hard for me to film this with only one hand and paint the tree with another hand. So thank you all for your understanding. So I'm going over with my brush. Don't forget to get the smaller tree branches here. Also make sure to do the bottom. And here we have it. Here's our tree. Now the last thing we gotta do is just add the foam or the wall on top of here. So now I'm just going to take a bottle of super glue and start gluing little spots of glue on the tips of the tree trunks here. And for me it's kind of difficult to do it with just one hand, but I managed to get the job done. Just going to add a couple more drops here. Okay, so now I'm just going to take a big clump of steel wool and start putting it on my tree branches here. And make sure to be consistent with your wool, because if you want to make more trees, might be a good idea to save some of that wool. So make sure to stretch out a little bit, play with it, and think about what real trees would look like in nature. So I'm just going to take another clump here. Stretch it out, play with it, and start laying it on my tree branches. And don't worry if it, sticks to your fingers, because you can just wash it with just some soap and water. Alright, so I'm going to take another piece of wool, stretch it out, and now I'm going to do this side. And plus, the best part about any tree that you make using this material, no tree is going to look the same. They're all going to look different from each other. So you're going to have a very nice variety of trees on your train layout. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is take some spray glue and start spraying the wool. And this glue is definitely going to help the foam stick to the wool to make the tree look more realistic. And make sure you do the bottom of the tree too, because you really don't want some of that wool to be sticking out. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to do is sprinkle some green foam on top of the tree here. And this is just a plain old bag of Woodland Scenics green foam that I just had lying around. And also you make sure that you lay a paper on the bottom while you're working with the foam here. Because another thing you want to prevent is trying to clean up afterwards. So having a sheet of newspaper or some plain old white paper would really help. Okay, our tree is starting to take shape here, and so the last thing I'm going to do is take some more Woodland Scenics ground foam, and this version is actually a lighter color, so this is going to give the tree some very nice highlights and help make it pop a little more. So I'm just gently taking my bag of Woodland Scenics ground foam and just sprinkling it all on top of the tree here. There on the sides, and like I said, don't forget to do the bottom of the tree here too, because you want to make sure to hide some of that wool as possible. And last thing I'm going to do is spray it again. I'm going to do the sides here and do the bottom. Now that is one beautiful tree, if I do say so myself. So now the last thing I'm going to do is place this on the layout and show you guys what it looks like with the rest of the scenery. That about does it for this little tutorial I put together for you guys today. So before I end the video, I just want to say that thank you all for your patience. I know I have been doing a lot of videos lately. It's mainly because I'm eventually planning to move. I'm not really sure when that's going to be, but I've been doing a lot of work cleaning around the house and maintaining everything, and layouts going through some technical difficulties, so I will get that fixed eventually, and hopefully it'll be sooner rather than later. But anyway, thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel if you already haven't. Don't forget to hit the notification bell for any videos I upload, and I hope to see you all in my next video. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.